Hey everyone, today I want to talk about fountain pens. Now I think the appeal of fountain pens is that they have such a long history. I think there is probably something romantic about using them, especially when you watch movies and you see somebody sitting at their desk in the olden days and they're handwriting these letters with their beautiful penmanship. I think it just brings us back to the past and we want that kind of experience. So today, what I'm going to share you is more of a layman's guide to fountain pens. There are plenty of people out there who are much more experienced than I am, probably even have much more passion than I do, and of course their collections are going to be way more extensive than mine. But what I have is I'm really good with what I have so far, my supplies. So let me get started and just show you my very first pen. This is called the Pilot Metropolitan, and this is the gold with black dots, which that just means there's a design right there. These are very popular. These come in many different colors and styles. And this probably, I would say, is the best value fountain pen out there. It is very inexpensive. It's only $14.50. Which for a normal ballpoint or gel type pen is very expensive, but for a fountain pen, that is extremely reasonable. So these, I have a cartridge in there right now, and this one writes really smooth. As you can see, there's the nib on that. And with the nib, let me just tell you that a lot of people with fountain pens, they will say something like, this fountain pen is really scratchy. And really that has more to do with the nib than the pen than anything else. When you have something like a medium nib, that of course is going to let more ink flow through than say the extra fine nib. So of course when you have more ink it's going to be a lot smoother and less scratchy than the extra fine nib. So just keep that in mind as you're having the experience with a fountain pen and choosing your nib. This is a very good weight. It has a weight to it if that's something that you like, and it's very evenly distributed. So very good pen. I really like this pen a lot. Like I said, the cartridges that I have in there are $3.55 for 5. And if you want a converter for your fountain pen, which means that you're able to draw up your own ink from a bottle, that is only $5.75, and you only have to buy that once. So let me show you, there's two different types of converters, and this one is the piston or the twist one, and as you can see, you just twist it back and forth, and that draws up your ink into, well actually you put the converter right here in the barrel and this draws up the ink. So you just twist it back and forth like that. Then the other one is a vacuum or a plunger, and that one you just slowly push and squeeze it and then you release it slowly and that draws up your ink as well. I don't prefer that one as well. I feel like you have a lot more control over the piston or the twist one like this one, and I just feel like it's just easier and you're able to see when you're getting full. So I prefer these. And a lot of these, the cartridges for your ink and the converters like I just showed you, those are going to be generally they're going to be proprietary, which means they only fit a particular pen. There are some products coming out on the market now that are universal, both with cartridges and the converters. So that's really good, but they haven't gotten a whole lot of those yet. So just, they're on the horizon. And you can also refill some of your cartridges with syringe or an eyedropper, or even fill up your ink barrel with that. So just keep in mind that there are some different ways of getting ink into your fountain pen. Let me show you the packaging on that, and yes, I did keep this for quite a long time now because I knew eventually I was going to do this video. But it just comes in a nice little box like this, and then it's got a plastic case with some styrofoam around it. So nice packaging. Like I said, I think the Pilot is just a really great value. And it's a really great one to start with. A lot of people even just end up with this one and not get anything else. Then the next one I have to show you is called a Lambie Vista. Now Lambie is a very popular brand. I think I've seen a lot of these pens around. So very popular in the fountain pen community. This pen clip right here is kind of their signature, whereas you can see it's different from that pen clip. So that's one of the things that are going to be very noticeable about the Lambie. You can tell it's a Lambie by the pen clip, especially. This Lambie Vista that I have is also called a demonstrator pen, which means it's clear, you can see through it. I'm a very visual person, so I love this. I love to see my ink going down. I think it's just a really, for some reason, it's a cool experience for me to see it going down. I like to see when I'm getting close to running out, so I'm going to need to plan on refilling it soon. So I love this pen so much. This is probably, if I have to pick, this is probably my favorite fountain pen that I've ever had. And this is the one, if I had to get rid of all my other pens, this is the one I would keep. Not only because of the way it looks, but let me show you something else that's really awesome about this pen. Now I've shown this before. I gotta get my cloth ready. This is my Smarty Cloth. Now of course it's super cute because it's got Starry Night with Vincent van Gogh on it, but I bought it because it's got this really dark microfiber on the back. So this is how I change out my nibs on this. So this is one of the few pens that I've seen where you can actually change out your nibs. On my other pens, whatever nib you choose is what you're going to get and what you're stuck with. So this one, it's really cool. You just pull it off like that. And then it's always going to have a little bit of ink right there. So then you just use I just use my cloth. Now it's clean. I just keep it in the sack that they came with. And then let me get another one out. I could put the same one back on, but I don't want to. And this is actually going to be one of the calligraphy ones, which I will get into. And then you just slide it on right there. It's just really slick. Normally, if I get any ink, it's just one little drop like that. So that's how easy it is to change. Let me post the lid. Now with fountain pens are a little bit different than your regular pens where you can kind of scribble. Sometimes it just takes a minute for it to start, and this one's starting right away, so that's perfect. So this is one of the calligraphy ones, which is the 1.9. So this is the second and most important reason that I adore this pen. In one pen, you can have 7 different nibs, which is phenomenal. So instead of carrying around 7 different pens with 7 different nibs, you can have this one pen, and then look how little those are. So it's just beautiful. So with this, the nibs themselves, and the ones that I've seen, there are 4 different sizes of nibs, and it's extra fine, fine, medium, and broad. And then with the calligraphy nibs, so those are letters, so it's EF for extra fine, etc. And then for the calligraphy nibs, those are measured in numbers. So it's 1.1, 1.5, and 1.9 is what this comes with. Perfect for all of my needs. As if you know anything about calligraphy, I mean, they can get huge nibs, 6.0, etc. But for my purposes with handwriting, these are perfectly fine. And with the nibs right here, this is stainless steel. You can also get the regular ones, not the calligraphy, but the regular ones, maybe calligraphy. Anyway, you can check that out, but they also come in a black finish. So if you prefer a black nib to the stainless steel. I chose the stainless steel on those, and those usually run about $10 a piece. So I still think, even with this pen, which is $30, this one was $14.50, this one is $30, even getting all the nibs, that is still very reasonably priced in the fountain pen community. Let me show you some of the different, these are the difference. This is the extra fine nib, fine, medium. I don't have the broad one, but yet. To show you, this is the 1.1, 1.5, and 1.9, obviously. So they definitely get bigger. For my regular writing, I have small handwriting, so I prefer this extra fine nib for my regular writing. The reason I have these other ones is I'm doing creative lettering, and I am really working on different styles. So it's just really nice to have these bigger styles sometimes for when you do your negative space or you're doing your, big, fat, chunky letters. So that's why I ended up with all these and not just for handwriting. And then like I said, with the calligraphy purposes, these are perfectly fine for me. There are other pens if I want a bigger, fatter nib with the calligraphy, but for now, this is perfect for me. So like I said, favorite all-time pen right here. This is the one I would definitely keep over all the other ones. And then the packaging for this one comes like this. And then it just attaches to this little cardstock right there. Then the last pen that I have is, this is the TWSBI. This is the full-size diamond, and this is the black with rose gold on it. And the diamond is, if you can see, there's facets right here on the barrel. And then this one is a little bit different than all my other pens. These are able to have cartridges, or like I showed you, the converter, so you can draw up your own bottle. This one has a built-in cartridge, or sorry, built-in converter, so you can only draw up your ink with this one. So if you can see this on the end here, this one obviously has the twist or the piston, so you can only drop your own ink. But I bought this pen because I saw Miss Vicky B's video on her fountain pens back in October, and it's just a gorgeous, stunning pen, and I have never forgotten about it. It's been on my back burner. She has the mini one of this, and I sat on it too long. By the time I decided to buy this pen, all of the minis were sold out. So I went ahead with the full size. Now this one, Lambie, because it's plastic, is very lightweight. This one, the Pilot, is going to be metal, so it's got a really nice even weight to it. My only thing with this pen is the lid on this one is extremely heavy. So the TWSBI is called that because you twist off, where these other ones you just pull on and off. And then when you post this one, it's very bottom heavy. And that's something that I have noticed I don't really like. I've got some wrist issues, and so I have to be mindful of that. So how I use this pen is I just use it without the lid, which makes me a little bit nervous because, of course, you don't want to lose your lid. But these pens really never leave my house, so I don't really, it's not a huge concern of mine, and it's fine. That's just how I've decided to get around this pen. But like I said, I bought this pen because it's just gorgeous, and I feel really fancy when I'm using this one. Now, if you notice, I don't have any ink in this one. Storing ink in a fountain pen that you're not using on a regular basis is a big no-no. And the reason for that is because the ink can sometimes clog up your nib. Some people have had their pens almost destroyed. You can clean those, but that's just one of the big rules, is that you don't store ink if you're not using this pen, which I am not. I wanted to use up all of these cartridges for these before I got into this one and drawing up the own ink. So that's why I don't have ink in that one. And then the packaging for this one, of course, since this is a nicer pen, that one is $70. Then it comes in a lot nicer packaging. It's got its really nice dense foam in it, and then really hard plastic, nice case. So looks like kind of like the Pilot Metropolitan, but a lot nicer. Now, if you're thinking $70 is extremely expensive, I thought that as well, yet here I am. And we all have our hobbies. And with this one, if you start doing some research on fountain pens, you will realize that even the $70 one, which is my most expensive pen, is still very reasonable. There are fountain pens out there that are hundreds of dollars, like we're talking $500 or $600. There are even some that are thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. So you can get really super rich, fancy with these. You can have diamonds on them. It's kind of whatever you prefer. But I am very satisfied with the 3 pens that I have right now. I had a 4th pen that I gave to my mother-in-law. It was a Pilot Petite one, and because it was mini, it only took cartridges. You could not have a converter in there. And that was very inexpensive. That was less than $5. And it had blue-black ink in it, and when you posted it, it felt like a full-size pen. So that's actually, if you want to start with a very cheap fountain pen, that's probably the way to go, is something like that. It was a very good pen, and she's very happy with it, with her traveler's notebook that I gave her for her traveling art that she does. Now let's move on to ink. Ink is another thing like the fountain pens, where you're going to have a lot of companies out there. There's just so much to choose from. It can be very overwhelming. So my only advice, and what I chose to do with myself, is just really figure it out and put some thought into what do you want for your fountain pens? How are you going to use them? So the first one that I bought is this platinum carbon ink. The reason I bought this is because this is a permanent ink. And if you are an artist, you want to be able to draw with your fountain pen, and then you're going to want to watercolor or do some kind of painting on top of it, adding some color, and you don't want to lose your lines because you're using some kind of water-based paint. So this is fantastic for that. This is also great for any writers or journalers out there because you don't want to use your writing if you accidentally spill something on it. So this is just a super fabulous basic ink that you want that's going to be permanent. So, and everyone just needs a good basic black ink. Now the only other ones that I have bought are from the J. Urban 1670 collection. And this is something, I'm really fascinated by company's history. So I'm going to give you a quick history on J. Urban. This company obviously was established in 1670 in Paris near Notre Dame. Now ink itself, the production started during the First French Empire. And these inks were used by Napoleon Bonaparte and then his son, the King of Rome. And during the 19th century, J. Urban participated in many of the international exhibitions that were going on, including the London exhibit in 1823. And he was given awards because his ink was so exceptional above everybody else's. And he also has done waxes. Now, if you can see, I just think the packaging that they did on here was fantastic. As you can see, J. Urban Company is still around and very widely used and internationally renowned to this day. And because they started this 1670 collection on their 340th anniversary. So crazy long history. I just think it's fascinating to me. I just love to hear that history. I'm a history buff. So this red ink was the first one that they did, and it's called Rouge Hermitite. And this ink, in general, I don't write with red ink. The reason I ended up with this, besides these other two, is because I don't have any samples to show you, but if you go out on the internet, gorgeous, stunning samples of these inks. This one can look anywhere from just a true red to a very dark burgundy. And then the other thing about these inks, which I'll show you, is they have gold flecks on the bottom. So it's just gorgeous. And the next one that he did, back to the red. The reason he chose red is because this was the color of the sealing wax used by royalty when they were doing their sealing wax on their envelopes and their letters. So this is very majestic color, and it's also the historic color of J. Urban logo. The second one that they did was Blue Ocean, which is right here. I'll show you again the gold flecks in there. You can see those a lot better. Just gorgeous. This is going to be more of your darker blue to a blue-black kind of ink. Again, with the gold flecks, just adds such a depth and variegation to the writing. It's phenomenal. Now, J. Urban himself, he took a lot of sea voyages. He traveled to the Far East, and he discovered the famous gum, which allowed him to manufacture that sealing wax that I talked about. So he's a very experienced sailor. And then the last one in the collection is the Stormy Gray. And this one, you can really see that one as it settles. So just gorgeous. And of course, during his sea voyages, there were storms and, the water turns dark. And so that was reminiscent of that. He added the gold flakes to remind him of the lightning that he saw. And then it also just, in our day, it just adds a lot of depth and texture to the ink. So just gorgeous, really stunning inks, then that's the reason I chose these. Now with inks, I feel like you just need to put some thought into it. Like I said, I just wanted some very rich, earthy type of inks, and so I don't have any plans to buy anymore. There are just so many hundreds of different colors of inks out there. If J. Urban himself comes out with a different color in this collection, something like a dark forest green with the gold flecks, I would definitely buy that. But I don't have any plans to buy anymore. With these with bottles, you just need to decide if you really love the color or not, whether you want to invest in the bottle. Bottles range anywhere from like $12 to $25 depending on the brand and the type of ink that it is. Cartridges, obviously, I've given you some prices. They're going to be a lot cheaper in the short run. Bottles are going to be cheaper in the long run. So if you don't know if you like a particular ink, you can buy sample inks from places like gouletpens.com, which I will link below. These inks right here are water soluble, which is different from this one, which is the permanent ink. Water soluble means if you spill something on it, you're going to lose some of your writing and there's going to be some smearing. Most inks out there are water soluble. Now, jetpens.com, which I will link below as well, they do have some samples on water solubility tests out there to determine which inks are going to stand up better to water, which is a really great resource. And I definitely looked into that before I bought my inks. So this bottle, for instance, I have never, in all my research, I've never heard of a single person that's actually gone through an entire bottle of ink. So just know that when you buy a bottle and invest in a bottle, you will probably never have to buy a bottle again. So let me show you a couple products. That's my ink collection. Like I said, I don't have any plans to buy anymore. I'm very, very happy with that. And then let me show you a couple products you might need if you start with fountain pens. This is some blotting paper, which just means it was going to absorb the excess ink when you're writing, because you don't want to have dots and blotches on the front or back of another page. So this is just going to absorb that. This obviously is J. Urban again. He's a big name there. This also comes in white or cream. It's not just pink. So that's a good product to have. And then there's a lot of debate out there on fountain pen friendly papers. I'm going to show you what I ended up with, and sorry about the crinkling. This is probably the most popular, and this is Tomo River paper. This is cream, and this is 100 pages. And the difference between fountain paper and regular paper is just the fibers in it are going to be a lot more dense. So you're not going to get the bleeding, the feathering, the just that, going through the paper that you would get on your regular printer paper. And if you don't have this, that's fine. If what you're going to do is you're just going to use regular paper and it's going to bleed through or have some shadowing, and so you're just going to use one side of the paper. So it's okay. Like there's some ways around this. But anyway, I hope that's helped. I will, like I said, I will link some resources below that have really helped me out. But in general, I think, I've been so interested in the calligraphy and the writing since I was a little girl. So this is just something that has always fascinated me, and I am now joining seriously this hobby, and I'm going to be using a lot of these for my practicing for my creative lettering. So I think, again, with fountain pens, it's just a lovely, rich, elegant experience. Even if you're writing out your grocery list, there's just something about using a fountain pen that just makes you feel just fancy and important. So anyway, I hope this has helped. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.